Hi guys, thanks for joining Future Forward, the podcast where I help you navigate this ever-changing world. Now today I want to talk about the topic of dating and why dating is failing so much in 2024, right? The main reason for this, as you all know, is dating apps, right? And the reason behind dating apps, I think people have misconstrued the idea of what they actually do, but the actual impact of dating apps is mainly on the process of dating itself. So if you are on a dating app, you're exposed to multiple different people at the same time. It is very unnatural for you to be having multiple conversations with different people at the same time, right? If you were to take a walk on the street, let's say you're a girl, you decide to take a walk on the street, there is no way that you are going to run into 50 guys that are all going to be attracted to you and that will all hit on you, right, on that walk to a coffee shop, right? So it's very unnatural for people to be engaging with multiple different personalities at the same time, right? So what this does is it affects your ability to connect with each person or with the person that you would prefer to date. And I'm going to explain why. Everything revolves around energy. A person's personality is almost a reflection of their energy, right? So when you're talking to 40 different people at the same time, you're taking energy from one person, right? Transferring it or reflecting it onto another person, taking energy from that person, reflecting it onto another person. So at the end of the day, people don't really know what your personality is like. They don't really know what your original personality is. Because if one person gives you a bad experience, maybe they're too chatty, maybe they're negative, right? Maybe they're condescending. Then you talk to someone else at the same time who is maybe charming, right? Then you talk to someone else at the same time who's maybe, overly sexual, right? All these different people are feeding different energy onto you, to which you're going to project onto the next person. Hence, a connection, there's an inability to form a connection with someone on a deeper level, right? And the same goes for men, right? If you are a man trying to find a girlfriend or trying to find a girl on a dating app, it is very difficult for you to get seen or for your personality to even get acknowledged. The reason being that you're competing with multiple different men just on the basis of visuals, right? And not actual emotion, right? You're being selected based on, how good your pictures look, based on how well you're able to market, your life and the experiences you've had in life, right? And the person with the best pictures wins. Right, so if you're not a person who's very photogenic, you are competing with people who are out there getting, a camera crew to record them just so they can post these pictures up, right, and make themselves more marketable to the females they want to be with, right? And as a result, you are left without, many options. Most guys that are on dating apps only have 1 or 2 matches or a handful of matches, right? Whereas women have multiple matches. The reason being that women are more selective, right? They're more selective with who they decide to be with. And if you're not within that small group of men, right, that ticks all the boxes that women want, then just visually, then it makes it very hard for you to compete. So it's a very small percentage of guys that are getting the majority of women just because of the content they post, right? So this could leave you feeling disheartened. This could leave you feeling a little bit self-conscious. This could leave you feeling, really hopeless in regards to, the whole relationship situation. And the overall issue or the biggest problem that comes out of dating apps is that people are less likely to work hard in a relationship. They're less likely to work hard to make things work when in a relationship, because in the back of their mind, they know that, the grass may be greener on the other side, or the next person is just downloading an app away, right? And this is where, a fundamental problem comes into play. So if you're one of those people who wants to get into a relationship, right? You want to find someone that you can actually build something serious with in 2024, right? You need to get in touch with the person. Firstly, delete your dating apps, right? Just be done with dating apps altogether. You just have to go out there. If you're a guy, work up the courage to, talk to a woman, to walk up to a woman, approach her, tell her, you find her attractive and start a conversation. Yes, you may get rejected, but that is the game. That is the right way of doing it. That's how it's always been done, right? And I think it's more difficult for women nowadays because of the different variations, or shall I say the different definitions of feminism that have, been introduced, right? So now, you hear about guys being called creepy for hitting on a girl, right? Something which was once very normal to do, something which was once very admirable to do, to hit on a person, to tell them that they're attractive, now is seen as, being very creepy, or, you're seen as a threat. So men nowadays are less likely to want to approach women out there, and more willing to talk to them over dating apps to avoid, being seen as creepy, right? So I think with that being said, if you're women need to take part, or need to, contribute in actually reversing the situation, right? If you're out there, you're off dating apps, and you're just waiting for a guy to approach you, right? That may not happen in 2024, right? That may not happen now because of, guys being afraid to be called creeps, right? So it's up to you to at least give the guy some sort of indicator that you're interested in them, right? It could be just, a wink. It could be just, you just give them a sign, let them know, look at them, smile at them, just let them know it's okay for them to approach you, right? And if you're brave enough, you could just approach the guy and, talk to them, right? I'm not saying you should hit on them per se, but you can initiate the conversation and let them carry it, right? That way, we can start to reverse the damage that has been done as a result, and get back to the actual process of dating, the original process of dating, where, it was a lot healthier, right? And another thing I want to touch on is the whole issue of body counts. Body counts and, the whole misconception. I see the red pill, blue pill arguments online. And I think everyone is just touching on the symptoms, right? They're touching on the symptoms, the consequences of, each of these things, or having a very promiscuous life. But no one's really touching on the actual essence of it, the origin of it, where it comes from, right? So if you think about it, when we are born as children, right? When we're born and we're young, right? They say women are born with value, men are born without value. That is not true, right? Both genders are born with value. Both men and women are born with value. It's just that as a result of parenting, parents decide which children to give value, which not to, right? And there's a reason for that. Women are told, or girls are told, they have value, right? They have something to preserve, right? Whereas men are told they don't have value and they have to build the value up, right? And the reason being for men that they tell men that there's no value is because they are getting male or getting boys ready to build a life that will get them the respect of women, the respect of people in the community. And essentially that process of building as a man, right? It's not just for what people say to provide and protect, right? In that process of building, a man gains multiple different skills, right? You gain an ability to manage high pressure situations, an ability to come up with solutions that are, more accurate, right? You gain an ability to manage your own emotions, right? We're told to bury a lot of these things, which is why most men suffer in silence, right? We bury all of these things. So in the process of you building a life that is worthy of recognition as a man, right? You go through so many challenges and so many hardships that you gain those essential skills, right? Skills that will become survival skills when you're now paired with a partner. That will allow you to now be able to lead effectively, right? That will allow another person to feel comfortable being vulnerable with you, knowing that your ability to manage pressure is strong. Your ability to manage, emotions is strong. And your ability to come up with solutions is just as strong, right? And that's the process. But what happens in the process is that you also lose something as a man, right? When you're building, right, you are going through so much suffering, so many struggles, so many trials, so much pressure from society, pressure of seeing other people doing it, better than you, pressure of seeing other people get ahead in life faster than you, right? All these things start to erode your emotional tank, essentially, right? That tank you have, that excitability you have as a child, right? That that light energy starts to get eroded with every single hit you experience as a man, until you just feel like there is an overhanging veil over you. So when you do get to that point where you've succeeded, you have so many wounds that you have forgotten what it's like to feel like a kid, what it's like to feel excitable, what it's like to be human, essentially. Your emotional capacity has been eroded so much, right? And then this takes me to the girl side of things, right? So that value that women are being told to preserve is this emotional tank that men lose in the process of building something that women would respect them for, right? So by you being told to preserve that energy, right? That energy for women is tied to intimacy, right? So the more intimate interactions you have with a person, the more that emotional tank gets eroded, right? And you cannot control how much nurturing, love, every person you're engaging with, you're having it eroded over and over and over again, right? And then that's where the problem with bodies comes, right? Because at the end of 40 bodies, you may have gone through so many difficult situations yourself, right, that have eroded so much of that emotional capacity that when you do end up finding the guy you would like to be with, right, he has worked his way up to the point, right, where he can take care of you, to the point where he's gained all those skills, the ability to manage pressure, come up with solutions, manage emotions, right, in order to be able to cater to you, right? And now what he is looking for in return is that emotional capacity, that emotional value that you may have or would have been holding on to, right, to replace that which he's lost, right? So when a guy is looking for a relationship, they're not just looking for sex. They're not just looking for someone to spend time with. They're not just looking for, eye candy. They're looking for someone to replace the emotional tank, or to replace all those emotions that they have lost in the process of building up to be a man, right? And that's where a lot of women now with higher bodies end up getting, disqualified. Because if you have gone through all these negative situations, right, you've been with multiple people, you've been promiscuous, right? Throughout that process, you would have come across a lot of uncomfortable things that would have eroded a lot more than just your emotions, right? So when you meet a person, when you meet this guy that you want to be with, you're essentially now just the same as him, right? You're approaching him, or you're getting into his space, and you don't have the emotional capacity to pour into him to replace that which he has lost, right? Because you yourself have lost that emotional capacity, so you also need someone with emotional capacity to fill your tank, right? And that's where, a big issue comes in, right? And that's where a lot of people end up getting, disqualified from the dating process, because, it's yin and yang, each feeds into the other. And because dating itself is a social construct, right, these are the ways in which value is exchanged between men and women, right? So that being said, it's very important, to take into consideration what you're looking for in the future, what you're doing in the present, and also knowing what damage, what you're doing is inflicting on your body, right? Or inflicting on your energy as a person, right? And, in those situations, if you end up being, the woman in that situation, you have to find a guy that hasn't been through too much suffering, that has lived a soft life, right? That still has the emotions intact, right? To be able to pour into you, to which you are now going to lead the relationship, because you have now developed the ability to manage pressure, the ability to come up with solutions through all the trials and tribulations, and the ability to manage your emotions through all the ups and downs you would have gone through being promiscuous. Now, the last part is, you may be asking, what about guys? What does having a high body count do to men, right? And you hear a lot about it on the internet that, it does nothing for men. That is not 100% true, right? Yes, it may not erode that which women need to feel fulfilled or to feel taken care of, the essential skills that a man gains through his process of struggle, right? But what it does erode is, or what it does create is a sense of decision paralysis, right? Or decision anxiety for men. If you engage with multiple different women, right, you end up finding it difficult to remember or to pick up on which attributes about a woman that you actually like and would want to have long term. So if you're trying to have a long-term relationship, you end up being in a situation where you're constantly second guessing the person you're with, because you are not sure of what you like or what you find interesting or what actually works for you, because you've exposed yourself to that many women. So then that anxiety comes along of constantly thinking before you decide to marry a person, before you decide to date a person, whether you're making the right decision, right? And this can be very difficult for most men. That's all I have for you today. I will see you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.